I don't know if you've heard this, but it's a new era of WWE.
Whose era is it?
It's Triple H's era.
No way! I couldn't possibly have guessed that from them telling us 26 times.
It's the third show in a row that this has opened up to be like, hey, by the way, guys, it's a new era. Which, you know what?
Honestly, thank God.
Honestly, as well, for this show, I get it.
Yeah.
And do you know why? More people watch Raw than they do WrestleMania.
There you go.
So the people who did not see WrestleMania...
Is that true?
Yeah. Well, WrestleMania doesn't get 1.5 million viewers. There's not one... There's
not with that attitude.
It gets a lot, but it's like, you know, there were more people watching Raw than buying pay-per-views.
Right, because it's just on.
Because it's just on.
Yeah.
So those people did not see WrestleMania, therefore didn't see Triple H or Stephanie. Stephanie's return on night 2 to come out and be like, hey, it's a new era, and we love this era. It's way better now.
It's so much better.
And well, let's be honest, it is so much better now.
It's so much better. We have
so
things that happen on this episode of Raw where I feel differently about them than I would have a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, we'll get into all of that, but first off, I'm Lugo, and DAD, this is Dan, the Truth, the Professor, the former Jam That Champion Leighton.
Hey, you know, it was a good run.
It was a good. I mean, you held it from SummerSlam through to WrestleMania.
Longest reigning champion.
That's like a Triple H push.
There you go.
Well, actually, no, you'd have held it for a year.
Yeah.
If it was a Triple H push, you'd have held it until SummerSlam.
I'm just glad that I've got more space on the table now to be able to lean forward.
It was the belt a hindrance to
you? Do you know, at that point, I'm just happy to pass it on to someone else who deserves their own chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, welcome to the WrestleTalk Podcast channel review of Monday Night Raw. Please do press the subscribe button. Give us a little thumbs up as well. Big thank you to everyone who has subscribed and give us a thumbs up over the weekend as well. Like
Massive weekend.
The WrestleTalk news passed 850,000 subscribers.
Huge.
Like we're close to. Our goal was to get to 85,000, and then we were going to do our 10-hour live stream. It is still coming, by the way. WrestleMania's now finished. I can start doing some press for that.
Yeah.
And we're now nearly at 87.
Huge.
Like it's massive. So thank you all so much for all the new faces that have joined us.
Wrestling's fun again.
Wrestling is fun again. So much so, we had 4 minutes of it in the first 75 minutes of this broadcast. Please leave a comment down below with your thoughts on this episode. And if you're watching live, please do join the live experience. Someone said that's not true.
What's not true?
That I think that it's more people watch Raw than they do the pay-per-view.
It certainly used to be the way that if you think global, I think more than 1.5 million people.
Perhaps globally,
we see the number. It's
but
very
the Raw ratings, but the Raw ratings aren't global.
Exactly. So, like, if you say 1.5 million people watch Raw, that's not factoring in.
No, that is the American viewers. But even so,
but, I mean, as I've learned, America like to think only about themselves.
Yeah, it has been true in the past. I'm sure it is pretty much still technically true to this day.
The network will have changed things as well, given access and stuff.
Plus, we don't know. We'll never know because we don't know streaming numbers or anything like that. But anyway, if you are watching the live chat, please do join us in the live chat. Let us know your thoughts of this episode of Raw. So Pittycock has 30 million subscribers. Doesn't mean that all 30 million are watching it, though.
Well,
okay, all right.
Again,
do you know what? I'll pull this back then. It's fucking stupid to have Triple H open up this show. You told us twice in 2 days. Don't hammer home the point. I was trying to put WWE over, but everyone here is trying to make me sound like I'm an arsehole.
I don't think so. And listen, well, I had a hit tweet.
Did you?
I had a hit tweet yesterday, and what I've learned from that is people have opinions. So I basically I tweeted that. When the Shield's music hit, it was WWE had posted the Shield, whatever, Sierra Hotel, all of that stuff, and collectively, every single person thought, "Is Moxley here?" This was my tweet. I said that I love the fact that collectively, the entire wrestling community threw logic and reason out the window and went, "Oh no, wait, Mox is here as well." We all, for some reason, had it was speaking to that moment, that match, this beginning of this new era, which we'll get into, as a generational wrestling moment that all of us were so caught up in the suspension of disbelief of it all, that our disbelief was so suspended that we believe someone who is not even in the company we actively know is sort of eat, sleep, breathe competition. We know the conflict between the two promotions. For some reason, this moment we believed it could come true. I genuinely thought it was going to happen. It's because they didn't show it for so long as well. There was so much of panning around the arena. I was like, maybe could it be? Could it be? And I think because even Corey Graves was caught up in the moment a little bit. I think because he was giving that no way, this is physically impossible. And Corey Graves strikes me as someone who doesn't like to know every single thing that's going on in the way he does commentary. So we're all sucked up in the moment. This tweet,
magical.
then I posted this tweet. Don't think anything about it. It's not even my best tweet of the weekend, I'll be honest with you. I've done some good tweets. It went like fully viral, like 45,000 odd likes last time I checked.
Look at you!
And so many replies. And in those replies, obviously, you have the majority of them being like, yeah, I fully thought this too. I was the same. Oh my God, isn't it amazing?
Because we're all having fun.
And then a handful of people being this way against each other.
Yeah.
So they'll always be there.
Oh, of course they are. Well, I was saying this to Denise Salcedo. I did WrestleMania 40 predictions with her on her YouTube channel. And I just sort of mentioned on there, it's like, I'm not on Twitter anymore.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, why? I kind of miss you on Twitter. Like, why aren't you on there? I was like, because it's full of knobs.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I kind of got sick of it. And she was like, yeah, but there are like, you know, people with bad opinions. Because I was like, oh, I'm just on Instagram now and I'm having a lovely time. And she was like, well, there's knobheads on Instagram as well. I was like, yeah, but I've got a very small following on Instagram. Like, I've got a much smaller following. Yeah. Plus, I don't message about wrestling much.
You don't get to see the sort of discourse as much on a platform like Instagram as well.
No.
But I mean,
to finish my story. Okay. So I said like, oh no, like I'm having a lovely time on Instagram. My following's much smaller. Plus, I don't tend to talk about wrestling much. And then I did put up a thing about wrestling, and all of a sudden, a load of knobheads appeared out of the woodwork. I was like, maybe it's just wrestling. I post up pictures of me like going to a Ghostbusters thing, and I get nothing but nice stuff. The mention I mentioned wrestling. All of a sudden, these people come out.
It's fandom in general, I think, and especially in the wrestling.
The Ghostbusters fandom.
Well, I mean, that's because there are only 6 of you. In the fandom, there is...
Tell that to the $45 million opening weekend, which was the exact same opening weekend as Afterlife. That means there's $45 million worth
Haven't we already established that you talking about millions of dollars and millions of numbers and things like that is going to cause a crisis? No, it's an interesting thing because this weekend has been so joyous.
Yeah.
But even within that, there has been conversations about what's going to go down on Dynamite, and then is... it's a shame that like who's going to be allowed to be there, and people will cross at Ricky Starks. It's like some people are going to hate fun.
Yeah.
The what we got on this episode of Raw though, and what you had with Triple H coming out, and like the level of quality that I know is going to be going into Dynasty, I'm like, oh, we are eating well. Do you know what I mean?
I was talking to Dan Fry, business guy. He's one of the people who works in the office.
I didn't know he had that nickname.
Do you know? No. Dan Fry, the business guy.
That's really funny.
So I was talking to him at lunch, and he was kind of talking about Dynamite and the Punk thing and stuff, and I was like, okay, here's my hot take for the CM Punk thing on Dynamite. I don't think it makes a blind bit of difference to the ratings.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, and here is why. Because the people who are going to watch Dynamite are going to watch it anyway, and the people who wouldn't normally watch Dynamite but do want to see the Punk thing will just wait till it's on Twitter.
That's usually how I go.
And we'll just wait till it's on YouTube. Like I don't think it is being done as a ratings ploy, and AEW being quite open about it being a ratings ploy, which is absolutely fair enough. But I don't think it's going to make a blind bit of difference to the ratings. I mean, and not only that, I don't think it's going to make any, because the general theory of it is you put this on, 200,000 extra people tune into the show, you then convert 50,000 of those into new regular viewers because you put on a good show. That's the theory of it. That 50,000 viewers will then tune in for next week, and of those people, 10,000 buy a T-shirt, or people buy tickets and this, that, and the other. I just don't think it's going to make a blind bit of difference to the ratings.
We're 9 minutes into the show and we haven't spoken about Raw yet, and I think what's kind of interesting about that is that...
Hello, Pete.
The camera mic is still on.
Someone's come down to be technical. In the meantime, I'm going to finish my sentence so that I can... It wasn't me!
Who did that? This is what happens when I don't do the podcast for 2 days. People come in and start messing around with things.
I didn't do nothing. Don't look at me.
Well, I mean...
yesterday.
You were the one controlling this thing, Pete.
Hey, man.
You were riding the desk yesterday.
Hey, and the sound sounded great. All right?
Who messed with it, Pete?
I don't know.
It was Adam Whitney.
It was Whitney.
It was almost certainly Adam Whitney. Yeah, that sounds about right. It sounds like it was Adam Whitney.
Berate him now.
Yeah, and when you do, when I've finished here, he better hope that he's gone home.
So with this, well, we're now an extra 2 minutes into the podcast. we're so far into the podcast, not necessarily talking about exactly what's going on Raw, but that's because this weekend has kind of been, it doesn't happen without Cody. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That's why this moment for Cody, it's all a part of it. AEW's existence helps us get to this moment.
Yeah.
NXT's existence, Triple H's existence helps us get to AEW. Like, all of this stuff is so... It's what wrestling's about, man, kind of thing. I find it all fascinating.
Oh, it is, yeah. And I think people like to talk about that. Like, I've not opted to say that on shows because people will come at you for the tribalism thing. That, like, the WrestleMania moment we had over the weekend is in large part to AEW. The existence of AEW sort of feeds into... Of course it is, and you can trace it back to that because there's Cody Rhodes. Well. Exactly. And then it's like, okay, we look at NXT. Well, it's like NXT only launched because of the rise of Ring of Honor and like Ring of Honor.
All the way back to...
And Ring of Honor really only started to get to that point because of the Elite and like their association and like the rise of New Japan and things like that. And you can trace it back to all these various different bits.
Give George Hackenschmidt his flowers.
So you can always like take things back to bits and bobs. The same with Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill would not be getting the presentation that she has got had it not been for AEW. Like, these are facts, but I choose not to say these sorts of things on show because people come after you being like, you've got AEW bias or you're anti-WWE, even though I gave this show 5 out of 5 and I thought it was an awesome episode of Raw.
I think the vast majority of people, though, this is the thing, the vast majority of people are having fun.
Well, okay, yeah.
And I'm having fun, and it's all fun.
Case in point, we were at the Hooked on Wrestling events over the weekends. We're doing our live reactions. And this happens at all of our live reactions as well. Not a single person comes up to me and was like, your opinions are trash.
You think this video is fine.
Yeah, like they don't, like they do it, people do it in comments. People will like tweet you those things, but no one actually ever says it out loud to your face. But, that's it. That's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about is the opening of this show. This was a 45-minute opening segment, but I was captivated throughout this. It's one of those things, like I often say this about like 20-minute opening segments when Raw used to have those 20-minute long opening segments. I was like, it's the length of an episode of Friends.
Yeah.
Like, this was the length of an episode of the X-Files.
Yeah, West Wing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this was a full hours worth of American
prestige
television,
TV.
like prestige
and tell
TV.
Me it wasn't that.
Like, that's HBO because obviously they don't have the ad breaks in there. But you could say like the West Wing is a good example because that's on cable or network television. It's got the ad breaks in there, so it's actually a 45-minute show when all the ad breaks are removed from it. So, and you think of the amount of things that are accomplished within an episode of the West Wing or an episode of the X-Files, and here, even though it was just 3 people. A lot here was accomplished because Triple H opened up the show. Here's my first thought. Man, I love the set. Yeah. I know that it can't be this way all the time because they don't always sell 20,000 tickets for shows, but Fightful Select reported that this set will be the norm for shows like this. Like, they have got a new set that they can do to fill out stadiums when they don't need to have the massive Tron.
Yeah.
I thought this looked... For me, because I don't like the huge Tron, I think this looks so much better.
I like a big stage. I don't like a wall of screens all the time. Like I'm beloved of the sort of SmackDown Fist or the Raw with the scaffolding kind of thing. I liked all of those, but a giant screen can sort of feel a bit oppressive sometimes, and it actually makes that rampway look smaller. This felt big time, and I don't think any of us can expect. This was their 17th consecutive sellout that they're selling.
Oh, I heard.
Yeah, I don't.
This will be many times over.
I don't think they will do this much longer. I feel like WrestleMania. In fact, I don't know if the next week will be a sellout, kind of thing, because we're now in the post WrestleMania season. Inevitably, things just chill out a little bit. That's why they do this and they sell it so hard during this. Why this period is so important for them, because they're kind of unopposed by certain things. They need to get as much as they can, and they have. And they've now established what a Raw will look like. CM Punk did a promo after the show, basically saying the same thing as you. I love it when a set is this small because I can see all of you. You're all here. We're packing this place out. It's nice to see that they can do that as well. It's the same thing with Survivor Series. Same thing with like Backlash, where what Nick Khan, I think, has said is that the crowd is more important than the staging.
Of course, as it should be.
Yeah. So again, that shows you what the mindset of the company is. Triple H shouting out Lee Fitting, the guy who is the new Kevin Dunn, the head of production or whatever, and all the ideas. He said there's so many ideas that we are still working on that haven't been introduced yet. There's a whole new mindset. So for all of the it's the Paul Levesque era, hammer it home, get it in there. It's evident if they didn't say it, it's evident in the material.
No, I completely agree. Like I thought this was a very cool opening.
God damn it! I'm so sorry. He might have just made the greatest WrestleMania of all time. That night too is.
This is the conversation we were having. Like, because Sat said to me at the end of the show, "Do you think that is in conversation for best WrestleMania of all time?"
It's top 3.
And I said you need some time away from it because at that moment you're like, it's potentially recency bias. Like the show had literally just finished. Like I need to sleep on it. I need to watch it again. And then it becomes the conversation of, well, do you separate them out? Because night 2 was perfect, a beyond perfect show, but night 1 had a lull in it.
Yes, it did.
So is WrestleMania night 1 a show and WrestleMania Night 2 as a show, or is it WrestleMania? So if you say it's like, what's the greatest WrestleMania of all time? Do I say WrestleMania 40 Night 2?
Well, I think WrestleMania 17 had a couple of little matches in there as well. So, like,
not to the degree of Jimmy and Jay,
yeah,
which I thought was actively bad.
I agree with that, but my point is, like, the you look at the WrestleMania 17 card, no one's sitting there going, every match was amazing, even the Right to Censor versus APA and Taz.
Yeah, but that match is also 3 minutes long.
Sure. But that was only one night of WrestleMania. So if you're looking at it as a collective, I don't mean to get into this debate. I'm just saying that, like, you look at it as a whole. If you want to, every show has a down moment. You're not seeing. I said I was the one on the live stream saying I didn't enjoy that match, and I got a bit tired during the main event of night 1. But either way, the way night 2 was, it was one of the greatest WrestleMania of all time. And the reason that I made a point of saying that was because Triple H wants to come out and have a victory lap. Fair.
Absolutely. 100%. He should come out and have a victory lap, because the coverage that the show has got, which we saw a lot of in this broadcast, they had like 6 different packages to putting over the amount of coverage that they got for this. The numbers, I think Michael Cole said at one point that WrestleMania was like up 41% in terms of viewership from the previous WrestleMania. They are on their 17th consecutive sellout. 100% go out there and have a victory lap. You should go out there and have a victory lap. In the same way that I would, when Tony Khan used to have his victory laps when they were doing their great numbers and stuff, I was like, absolutely you should. I mean, he got a lot of crap for it, but I was like, no, you're a promoter. You're supposed to go out there and say you're doing well. He's a promoter. He's going out there and say that we're doing well. Good. This is what you should be doing. You should be promoting the fact that you are having a successful time. The start of this broadcast, I was promoting our subscriber numbers because we're on a bit of a good run at the moment. So I think Triple H is absolutely bang on to come out here and be like, that was the greatest WrestleMania of all time. And it's oftentimes as well, people say that and it's hyperbole. This time he said it, and there's a genuine conversation to be had that it is among the greatest WrestleManias of all time. And that's why I think it's an interesting argument to be like, do you look at it night 1, night 2, the combination? I think with X7 is, sure, there are matches where there are lull moments in there. I don't think people are particularly going to rave about Eddie Guerrero versus Test, but it was a moment. It was a moment in WWF history. Like that is the peak. 2000 was this huge creative climb. There's the peak of WWE's creativity, and WrestleMania X7 is the peak of that creativity, and it was all downhill from there, and it's just been down and down and down and down and down and down and down until we got to this point here, and now we're on an ascent where this was the peak of this great run. The question now is it the peak, or is it the start, or are we still on the climb? We actually haven't reached the next peak of this yet, because you've got to hit the ground running from that. WrestleMania 2000, WrestleMania 2001, WrestleMania X7 is thought to be the greatest WrestleMania of all time. Ain't no one talking about Backlash 01. Ain't no one talking about Judgment Day 01, because those aren't very good shows. And then you get into the Invasion, which isn't very good, and then they bought a load of people and they didn't really know what to do with it, and it leads to 2001 kind of becoming a bit of a bad year. 2002 is not much better, and that does start the downfall of WWE's creativity. So one of my favorite things about this episode of Raw, and one of the reasons why I enjoyed it so much, and why I'm very happy for Triple H to have this victory lap, is because this was a show that set up that this train's going to keep on rolling. And we are going to keep, potentially keep going up that hill, even without The Rock's going to be gone. Roman's going to be gone. Seth's going to be gone. Becky's going to be gone. There's a lot of big names that have been sort of carrying the show for these last few months. They ain't here anymore. But Cody is here. And Cody is the guy. And Triple H came out here and he was like, this is the guy to lead us into the new era. And Cody comes out, and you want to talk about like megastar, superstar, incredible babyface reactions? That's what you got for Cody Rhodes right here.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah. Triple H was there to put over, this is the largest attendance and the largest gate for an episode of Raw. And the guys in the production have made a little video package for Cody Rhodes, but because they didn't have the Tron, they had to wheel out a little, when
you're at school.
Well, I said in my edited review, it was a bit like the best man at a wedding has planned a big PowerPoint presentation for his best man speech, and has got to the venue to find they don't have a TV to show on, so he just has to have his laptop set up. It's really funny, but some of you won't be able to see all of this. And the video was very nice. It was his journey to WrestleMania, showed him a couple of pictures of his time in TNA, and sort of on the indies before he came back, his story through 39, his win at the Royal Rumble, and his win at 40. And it was great. Like, Cody was in tears. He hugged Triple H. Triple H left the ring. My favorite, here's how great Cody Rhodes is as a babyface. Cody Rhodes asked Samantha Irvin to introduce him again. This is what he did after the Royal Rumble win as well. That's a heel move. This is what heels do when they come out to be like, you announce me as the champion.
Yeah.
Logan Paul literally did this in his feud with Ricochet. And it's such a heel thing. But when Cody does it, I'm like, it's the greatest babyface I've ever seen.
Well, it's because when you've got it's very simply that he's walked the walk. Like, he's someone who's done it and we've followed it. And not only this little lovely video package that they made for him, but the one that came before the match at Mania, which featured the books, you know, and there are so many pictures that you could choose from. I think there was something about the acknowledgement of that again, which points to this new era of being like, yeah, it's all part of it. We're not going to pretend that we built Cody to this level. Cody built Cody to this level, and so which is a very different approach. And when you have someone like Cody, no amount of schmaltz or babyfacery, blue-eyed babyfacery can really affect him as much as it would with Alex Luger or even a Roman Reigns, because he uniquely in the wrestling industry has earned it, has proven it. You deserve it. Are weak words for Cody Rhodes, right? Like it's so when he's like, yes, Samantha, say my name again, and she's like, I've got you, because she knows. Not only did she have an outstanding weekend, one of the MVPs of the whole thing, she knows, and we know that he's waited his whole life, and in many ways his father's whole life, to hear these words. Yeah, say it again, mate. And like with Samantha as well, because she clearly one of the great things about Samantha Irvin is that a lot like this matters to her. She wants to make it good, yeah.
And ring introductions matter to her. And it's kind of like, you know, the great thing about Howard Finkel is that introductions meant something to Howard Finkel, like, and the importance of making something feel like a big deal. She wants things to feel like a big deal. You saw the reaction, like her reaction to Cody winning at WrestleMania. It's genuine reactions. And to not put too much of a finer point on it, people like Cody.
Yeah.
And it's not just the fans. People who work with Cody like Cody. So it doesn't feel like a heel thing, even though it is a heel thing to do. It doesn't feel heel when Cody does it, because people do like Cody.
Yeah.
Like Michael Cole would quite happily do his whole commentary spiel about him all over again because he likes Cody. And he put over Roman Reigns, acknowledging what he has done with our thank you Roman chants. I think I love the fact that now that it's over and you're not in the moment of every time Roman retained, and we used to get Ultrachats in being like, I'm sick of this run, I'm sick of this run, I'm sick of this run. Now that it's over, people are reflecting on it to be like, what I witnessed was probably the greatest championship run of an entire generation.
You look back at the full body of the reign, and you look at the list of names, and then you look at the individual moments, and yeah, I do feel that everything from the past year would have been fine without that belt, but even so, now that I know it's happened, and I was sick and nervous going into that match, like I genuinely was like, I want to know the result of this match so that I can enjoy this match. So when I then went and watched it the second time, literally the second I woke up on Monday and went, all right, play. And I went back and watched the whole show again. I was so excited. Seeing the full picture of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, then seeing him having a little cuddle with Heyman, knowing that when he gave Heyman the hug at the Hall of Fame, he's wearing the watch that Cody gave him. It's a special reign. And now I'm so excited to see what they do with Roman next. Because we had people say, like, you know, he has to have the belt because the story, otherwise he's not the head of the table. You have failed to understand storytelling, my friend, because now we are in for an interesting story.
The second night, there was a guy came up to me, albeit he was quite drunk, but he said one of my favorite things like a wrestling fan has ever said to me, because if anything, it perfectly sums up the wrestling fan mindset, which is everyone is running on this high from Cody's win. It was such an incredible show. It was such an incredible main event. It was such an incredible moment. And he said, oh, the problem is, you know, what are you going to do next? And I'm like, that's not
exactly.
And I said, no, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
That's joyous.
That's joyous. It's a good thing. And if you want to call it a problem, it's a great problem to have. I'd love to have a problem that good.
This is it, and this is what. So, like, you know, we anyone who's been around my personal channel knows that my life has been this one long realm of like, how do I just fake? I'm trying to navigate my 20s and now my 30s and figure out how I'm going to contribute and what I'm going to do with my life and all that stuff. For me, something like this, it gives me energy, right? Hearing Samantha Irvin say something like that and seeing, you know, the very authentic, real reaction the fans have to Cody, his co-workers have, the way they react to each other, it gives me life. And then I think, oh, what do you do next? That energizes me. I want to get my hands in. I want to play in that world because, like, the idea of this documentary that's coming out on Wednesday is going to be such a fascinating thing to watch because when you do have a moment where you're like, well, we had these plans, and we'll talk about it in a second because there's something with the Rock here, but when you have a plan and the plan goes wrong, you can either look at that as an, oh no, what am I going to do? Or you can look at it and go, what am I going to do? What's next? What's next? We've mentioned The West Wing already. The first episode of The West Wing ends with him saying, what's next? Those were the words running through my mind when I rewatched the ending of WrestleMania Night 2 yesterday. What's next? It's such a joyous problem to have.
Yeah, it's a great,
Yeah.
I loved his final line of this. It was like, I was once undesirable, then undeniable, and now undisputed.
That was my line for commentary. I'm genuinely flabbergasted that Michael Cole, I mean, maybe he just was feeling his emotions, but the line is that, and then the American dream has come true for Cody Rhodes. Like, that's the lines that were in my head. Like, it's a brilliant, put it on a t-shirt, I'll buy it.
Yeah. Out came The Rock for this. There were chants for Rocky and for Undertaker. When the crowd chanted for Undertaker, Pat McAfee under his breath went, too soon.
Yeah, I love that from Pat. Good for him.
It's the first bit of commentary Pat McAfee I've enjoyed. They then, got into it, Rocky sucks chants and stuff, and the crowd kind of gave him that Dominic Mysterio heat, that Roman Reigns after the Undertaker win of just like booing him every time he lifts the microphone to his mouth. They clearly swore a bunch. This went on for quite a while. And then, Rock gives Cody his flowers and says that Mama Rhodes is proud of you. I'm sure Dusty's looking down. He's proud of you. My dad was friends with Dusty. I don't know if everyone knows this, but like, I know that, he was very proud of your dad, and I'm sure he'd be proud of you. I'm not sure he'd be proud of me for everything that I've done over the last few weeks, but, it is what it is. And then he talks about this People's Championship belt that he's got. He's like, this isn't a fake belt. Like, this was a belt that means something to me. This was given to me by the greatest of all times, Widow. And that means that I am now the People's Champion. I'm officially the People's Champion. So this belt does mean something to me. And I've won a lot of belts, but I've never won that one. I've never held that one, referring to the undisputed Universal Championship. And then he was like, can I hold it? And Cody's like, yeah, if you let me hold yours.
Which was very funny.
Yeah. And then they swap belts.
Lovely bit of bake-off innuendo there.
And they swap belts, and the crowd chanted, this is awkward.
Yeah.
And I was like, it is a little bit.
It is, and yet in that delicious way.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't look away.
Yeah. And then Rock was like, that feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I've made wrestling cool again, but I've got to leave for a little bit. I don't want to leave because I like it here.
He's having fun.
He's having fun. He's so having fun. You can see it on his face. But like, he's like, I don't really want to go away again, but I kind of have to because I've got some movies to make. But when I come back, and I will be back, whether you're champion or not, I am coming for that belt. Nice little bit.
No. Whether you're champion or not, I'm coming for you.
Yes.
That's a clear distinction.
Yeah.
He's coming for Cody.
Comes for Cody, yeah. But by extension, you'd imagine he'll still be champion. But yes,
whether he has the belt or not.
Exactly.
I think it's important to distinguish.
Like the man in orthopedic shoes, I stand corrected. And he's like, because, sure, you beat Roman Reigns, but I beat you at night 1 of WrestleMania. So while your story with Roman is over, our story has just begun. Cody responds like, yeah, and it's true. And also, you are my boss. But I'm the champion. I'm their champion. And boss, it means I'm your champion. That was really nice. Then Rock handed him something. Said it's like, you don't need to open up your hands because it's you already know what it is. Don't break my heart again. And then he left. There's a nice theory that we featured this on the WrestleTalk News today that it's a piece of the I'm going to get this wrong now, but the necklace thing the Roman has. There's a problem.
Not the lei. The
ufalela or something.
Yeah.
Ufalala, something like that. Apologies, I did get it wrong. I had to do 3 takes of it in the script as well because I'm quite bad at my job. But that was someone's theory was like it's a piece of that because it's something you wouldn't need to open up your hand to see, and you would know exactly what it is. The Rock handing it over kind of broke his heart a little bit again. What was the other theory they had was it's because he beat Roman Reigns in Bloodline rules. That means you're kind of part of like there's a tribal thing for this to hand over. And so the other point they made was like the sort of somber tone to it. It's like, Rock was putting him over. It was almost like you are kind of one of us now. Which I thought was an interesting theory. I don't know what it is.
I've also seen the theory that it's the SD card with the footage from All In. I've seen a theory that it was just a drug push, like The Rock's just selling some drugs.
Yeah.
I don't know, and so I've got 2 things on this whole
please go
angle, as it were. The first one, I'll go with what was in the hand. I am fuming that I don't know what that is. That's made me really cross because I wanted to know what that is, and that's why this worked.
Yeah.
Right. I want to tune in next week. That's what writing is. It makes me want to keep watching to find out. I'll watch on Friday. Will Cody be there? Will he say something? I'll watch. Where's this going to go? Am I going to get a response? And in times gone by, that wouldn't have got I don't know that I can trust that I'll ever find out what that was. I'm thinking of Shane McMahon's lockbox, for instance. I'm thinking of Austin and the briefcase, the anonymous Raw general manager.
No. I'm sorry. I'm going to push back on that one, Austin. We know who it was. It was the Big Boss Man.
But when what?
You're talking about Austin at King of the Ring?
Did we find that out?
Yeah, it was the Boss Man. Literally the next night on Raw, they said it was the Boss Man.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dad.
This comes up so many times of like wrestling's unsolved mysteries. Just watch the Raw the following night. It was the Boss Man.
Wow, I didn't realize you preferred Vince McMahon's booking. Okay, fine. So, So either way, point being, the Shane McMahon lockbox is the most recent example of one where it's like that not only was an under delivery in the case of the anonymous general manager, it was a straight up.
Booking week to week. Don't know. We'll figure that out later.
And then you didn't.
Yeah.
It went away.
It's the gold egg.
Yeah, and
we'll figure this out later.
It is deeply irritating to not be able to trust in your in the show. I think they have earned a level of goodwill and a level of trust over the course of this pivot and storyline, and then specifically the end. One of the reasons I was so nervous about the potential of Cody not winning is that I have invested in a story. And if you don't give me what I want, Batista trademark, I don't know that you'll ever reward me for my investment. You know what I mean? There's a give and take. There's the swerve for the sake of swerving. There's the, oh no, they figured me out. Shall we change course so that they can... You never know what's going to happen. Sometimes it's important to know what's going to happen. Sometimes as an audience, you want to be rewarded with that catharsis. I think that they have plotted and delivered a good story over the past few months that makes me believe you'll do something with this.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
And I don't think it will happen until Rock comes back. And based on his current filming schedule, we'll get into your Ultrachats in a moment because one of the first questions is about this, is that it's likely not until November time. It's like much later in the year. So it could be the November Saudi show, or it could be, and I think this would be quite timely, Survivor Series. Where The Rock made his debut. The Rock kind of has he feels like he has a bit of a special connection to that show. So if you wanted to do Cody Rock, Survivor Series would be a good time to do it. But yeah, like it's going to be much later on in the year that he comes back. And I don't think we'll find out what was in Cody's hand until then. But that does not mean that it is a dropped storyline.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to know until The Rock comes back.
Yeah. In the same way that, like, Cody has mentioned what Rock whispered to him, but said, I'll let The Rock say it kind of thing. That's somewhere in there as well if you want to play with that. Do you remember when he came out and said, I don't want to come for that at Mania?
Yeah. Oh, right. Yes, I see what you're saying. In the lead up to it. So I thought you meant before he made him bleed, but no.
No. We heard. I mean, I lip read that.
You
one.
lip read that one. You mean the talk before when the original plan was Rock versus Roman? I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So then the other thing that came out of this was the belt situation, which the chance of this is awkward or hilarious. But like specifically the handing over of the belt and who looks. When Cody came out, I wasn't sure if Triple H was there to do a new belt thing for a start, because that belt for me is Roman Reigns now. It's like not even just because they gave him the golden one to be like, congratulations, you've got both these belts, you've held them for ages, you can have a golden championship. But specifically because he's held it for so long, and even only about a year after that was introduced, he was in the title picture for it. It was like August 2014 when it got given to Brock. That belt symbolizes an era, and I think that era is now over, and I think that brings with it a new championship. So there was a little part of me that was like, I'm going to let this go, and I'm going to hand you a belt that represents this new era that has like a mix of traditional and new wave. You know, maybe it's a big eagle with the WWE logo in the middle of it, which I still think kind of could slap if they did something different and interesting with it.
It's what Cody wanted to do.
But that said, I'm now almost like, well, leave it be, because there's something about the belt, and it's entirely possible that what I'm about to say is purely me and not in any way inferred or mentioned. That belt looked unwieldy for Cody. That belt looked big, cumbersome, burdensome, ill-fitting. He came out and his suit was off. He couldn't figure out how to hold it. It was sort of tied up and he had it over and it looked stiff. I don't know if it was just a new belt. Becky wrote in her book that I've read, I don't know if I've mentioned it, that when she won the SmackDown Women's Championship, the belt wasn't loose or anything like that, so it feels difficult to hold. John Cena mentioned, and I found this hilarious downer on the Pat McAfee show, that when Cody's holding this belt in the ring at WrestleMania, he's like, how does it feel? And he goes, heavy. And it's like, yeah, it's going to get heavier. Yeah. This is a burden for you kind of thing. You have to meet the moment kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, save it. Like, make pep talk tomorrow morning, John. Like, Jesus. But I saw that in Cody. Like, at one point, the strap was folded over and like it didn't look right on him. And then when The Rock held it, it matched his vest. It was the perfect size for his pec. It looked natural on him. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting visual. Now, the idea that I'm putting out there, that I'm putting in this story is Cody's never done this before. It's all well and good winning the belt. Now you have to be the champion. Now you have to write your own story. Now you've got to meet the moment. How are you going to do that? And that's not me saying I don't think Cody can, because obviously I'm the biggest crybaby in the world, but it was a really interesting visual to have someone of the level of The Rock hold that belt and show him the way it should be held. I just thought that was fascinating.
I actually agree with you as well, because when he first came out with that belt, I was like, oh, that looks awkward to hold, which I've never really thought about with that belt. I know that Cody has had this deal. He was doing interviews in the lead up to WrestleMania. He was like, if I win it, I'm going to rename it to the WWE Championship.
And they have been saying that, by the way.
He's been
never said Universal since.
He's been saying it since day dots that he's been in the company. Like,
no, I mean they've been saying it.
I know. They've been saying it, and he wants to bring back the Winged Eagle because it's a much nicer belt. I hope that they do, because it's not just that it's cumbersome and stuff. I think that belt is hideous. I think that belt is hideous. And it is the yellow, because it doesn't look gold. It just looks yellow. Yeah. I think that belt might be one of the ugliest belts that WWE have ever had. And I really do take against it. The problem that they will have had, however, is that every championship they've given to a celebrity, every championship they've given to a football team that have won the Super Bowl and stuff, looks like that belt. So it has to be that belt design. Because you need to keep that sort of like that synergy and stuff. Because you can't give those football teams different championship belts. They need to look like the one that is the one that's on TV.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that they're not displaying those belts every week in the NFL. Like, when you give next year's Super Bowl's winner a belt, it can be the new one. Like, there's I'm thinking this situation, this big eagle with the blue, but you just take that logo, the WF logo, and put it there. Like, if you want to, you can still have
massive
a big
as well,
logo.
because it'll need to be directly.
I think there's a way to do. We had the whole belt discourse and the logos. I think the AEW belt with a massive logo in the middle of it looks quite classy. So I think, and I know you don't. I think you can put a logo in the middle of it and still make it look classy. I think it's the pop of color. I think the world heavyweight title, the Earth is on an axis, and I don't know why. Just make it centered and neat. But like you can have both. So, but now that I've seen this, I almost don't want them to change it, because it was such an interesting visual. I'd like to see Cody one day meet the belt. And The Rock said, "I've never held that belt."
Yeah, they are.
So now that belt means something.
They are stuck with it for the time being. I did have a moment when because the Rock's belt's quite garish because it's got the big Brahma bull thing on it. But I think the shape of it was much nicer, and I was like, oh man, Rock's belt looks like a proper world title, albeit with a very garish Brahma bull in the center of it. But anyway, that's a different topic for another time. Let us know in the chat what you think of that belt design. I really do not like it. But get in your chats, WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out all of them before the end of the show. James Dobb here said, I hope The Rock's movie schedule allows a relatively swift return. I genuinely think he's loved the last few months, as have we. I thought Liv being left off the WrestleMania card would mean she's next to face Rhea. Also think Jay versus Priest feels fresh. Yeah, I mean, certainly on that last point, I'm really, really glad. We'll get onto that in a little bit.
On the Rock schedule, I did a little bit of research before coming on the podcast because I wanted to see what his schedule actually is. He's got Fast X coming out in 2025. He's got Moana coming out in 2025. Those need to be filmed. He's also got an A24 movie with Benny Safdie being filmed. These things are going to take him through, I believe his schedule is till the start of August. I was saying do Roman Rock at SummerSlam. That would get SummerSlam out of the question because you wouldn't be there for the build. Survivor Series is a good shout. There is a report, Dave Meltzer has said, that they think Rock Cody for WrestleMania next year is something that should be there. That's the plan. Mm-hmm. As this year has shown, your plan should be written in the lightest pencil possible. Have something in mind, follow the flow of the river, and see where you're going to end up. Because Cody Punk is a great idea. Cody Sami is a great idea. There are so many great ideas now. Let's see where we end up. Yeah, you know.
Triple H said in the preview they had for that show they're putting out, and it's put on YouTube as well, which I thought was really interesting. That Triple H was like, "Oh, we had the card out in October. Yeah, we had 8% of it in October, and it was like dead on." And then those plans had to change, and you have to shift. It is the downside to long-term booking.
It's the same thing.
Things that can get in the way, but the as a smart booker and as a good booker, it's about pivoting on rolling those plans.
Punches, yeah.
It's rolling with the punches. Here is the story I want to do, and here's the plan that I have. But it's not quite working out that way. I need to pivot towards this other thing instead. Timothy DeGrand said, I haven't been able to talk about this yet, but need to. I think Taker saving Cody makes sense if you consider Taker as the spirit of WWE, the conscience of the WWE, as they would say on commentary, which is often credited as, or endorsing Cody as the future. It's just something that makes me smile jam that jam.
Yeah, I was in the moment. I was like, what? And yeah, I had worked myself into thinking it was going to be Austin, even though thinking about it, Austin doesn't actually make any sense in the storyline.
Does with The Rock, that's the person he's having a stare down with.
But The Undertaker makes more sense with everybody because The Undertaker's had his own feuds with The Rock. The Undertaker was managed by Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns were the two in 23 and 2, or however many matches he actually had. I can't quite remember, but like he had. He's had feuds with everyone in the bloodline kind of thing. He's also got history with Rikishi if you want to go down that road. Like Undertaker makes narrative sense, and I don't even need to bend over backwards to try and make it make sense. No. It's all just there.
Like, okay, here's my thing. It doesn't need to make sense.
Okay.
It was done for a cameo pop. It doesn't need layers upon layers upon layers of reasons. It was just done so you could sound the gong, let the gong loose, as I shouted out on the live reactions, and get the crowd pop. It is a surface level thing, and that is fine. And I'm happy with it being a surface level thing.
I like it to make sense, and I think it did make sense. And I think the other one you could have done for me, it's like, if I'm in that room, I'm going, hey Trips, I know you're like not medically cleared or anything like that, but could you just go out there and bash Rock with it and close that thread? Bash him with a sledgehammer, close that Vegas thread.
I said that on Raw. You had a go at me for it.
Well, I don't want to set up a match. I don't think this Undertaker wants to set up a match either. I really liked it, and it made sense, and I think you should strive to make sense.
It could have been Goldberg. It could have been Kurt Angle. It could have been absolutely anyone, but it made more sense for it to be The Undertaker because he's a much bigger star than everyone else. I did see one theory because Triple H said this in the press conference. I saw one person, the theory being, could have been Brock, which would have made so much sense. And Triple H did say Brock was Brock. We were having conversations about Brock being part of WrestleMania plans. Brock in that moment there would have made an incredible amount of sense given his history with Reigns, given his history with The Rock and Cody. Like, it's actually, if anyone, probably the number one person that it does make sense.
I'm glad it wasn't.
Baxter says, hey there, boys. This week's Raw was great after an awesome Mania. There were many setups for stuff down the line already. Cody versus Rock, Jay versus Priest, etc. I also love the theory that Drew will win this year's Money in the Bank briefcase and will cash it in against Priest. I said this on the review.
That's fun.
The second that Drew said, I hate the Money in the Bank briefcase, I was like, oh, he's winning Money in the Bank and he's going to cash it in to carry on that hypocrisy. Kuzu here says, in an ironic twist, last night's Cody Rock segment felt like the inverse of the first Austin Vince segment after WrestleMania X7. Truly a new era, Rock was eerie, unnervingly so. He made his intentions clear without verbalizing it and still left a cliffhanger. Harriet Manga Girl's been a member for 16 months in a row. Said, oh, actually, it's the exact same thing as Kuzu said. We have a check on that, moderators. That's the same Ultrachat twice, and I don't think that would
be a beautiful coincidence.
Because it's word for word, so I can't imagine that's the case. FTL said, when Cody lost last year after a solid build, I was done. I was preconditioned by the old man that their stories didn't matter. I only came back during the Survivor Series. Seeing Cody's story culminate has given me reason to trust the Triple H book now.
That's it. We as fans need to know that we're gonna, even in WrestleMania 30 when we got Bryan. You then don't trust that it's going to be followed through on at any point. Like this regime feels like it will. And look, it was a whole weekend of people putting him over. Paul Heyman, I will always be a Paul Lavac guy. Like the idea of the leadership of him, what you hear people talk about him on a creative standpoint. I think we've seen the fruit of that, and that as a fan is all we really need. I said AEW had this, especially in the early days. You trusted in what you were going to get, and I think they did a very good job of it. That's all we really want. NXT did a similar thing. I just want to trust that you're going to consider my time worthwhile.
Yeah, because WWE is so hot right now. So, a phrase within wrestling, it's a phrase that's used elsewhere, but and never more so is it true within the world of professional wrestling, because it can be applied to a lot of things throughout history. When you are hot, you can do nothing wrong. When you are cold, you can do nothing right. Yeah. At this period in time, WWE is a company that can do nothing wrong. Yeah. AEW is a company that can do nothing right because they are colder than WWE is at this point in time. And WWE is so hot that at this point, they can do nothing wrong.
Scotcho.
But the hope is, and I really hope that this is the case, is that they can continue this momentum. That's what I was talking about with like the momentum. Is WrestleMania 40 the peak like WrestleMania X7 was, or is it still the upward climb? Because I hope that it's still the upward climb.
Yeah, it feels to me like this is it feels to me like this is a where it all begins again kind of moment.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, you've done that one. Rather than it being the peak, which I think I can understand people make an argument that it might be all downhill from here. It's almost like, done it, starting here. Like, when you do a new book, and you've like waited a year for the new Harry Potter book to come out, and then it starts again, and it has to heat you up the whole way through. That's what's happened here. And actually, certain absences on the show and certain presences on the show make me go, I like where this is going.
I think that's the strength.
What next is the theme of the whole show. Sorry.
The strength of this show was showing how strong the roster is, even without The Rock, Roman Reigns, Becky Lynch, and Seth Rollins. That you didn't look at this card and be like, well, it's just a bunch of mid-carders that are left, which has been the case for WWE in the past. Update, Harriet Manga Girl's Ultra Chat is, hi guys, it's been such a great time for wrestling, and last weekend had the best payoff for fans. I'm very excited for what happens next in WWE. And GG Baxter said, I think I heard Rock is gone till August 1st. What you were saying. SummerSlam is August 3rd. Would you like to see Cody do the Bloodline Redemption Tour? Give Randy, KO, and LA their fair shot. Perhaps build to Cody versus Roman at SummerSlam, but Rock takes his place last minute.
I liked the idea of the Redemption Tour going around giving opportunities to people who specifically were screwed over. Some of those people, though, Drew McIntyre, have gone on to far more interesting storylines elsewhere. Yeah. So I'm almost like, and another one of them, Sami Zayn, is currently embroiled in another interesting storyline. So it's I think we'll see, and I actually think Randy and Kevin Owens going for the tag belts is what I'm after. On SmackDown. Yeah, I'm not yearning for it. Again, he's over there with a massive pile of money. Triple H is paying me to say this. Every ounce of WWE at the moment feels like there are so many different options, and they've got plans for them all. Yeah, and it makes me just want to relax. I'm taking a sat approach with this. He made this point on the when we're doing the live reactions. Here's why I don't think I'm into the Bloodline Redemption Tour.
I want to move forward.
Yeah.
I think doing that is just looking back.
Yeah.
I want to just look forward. And the reason I mentioned Sat is because you and I were talking about the Bayley coming out to the hugger theme, and with the side pony and everything, and you were saying and I completely agree with you that WWE didn't do enough in the Damage Control story to earn that moment. And I was talking to Sat about this, and Sat was like, "Why do we want that? She's moving forward as a character." If you go back to the hugger theme and you do the side pony, you're making her a nostalgia act. You're just looking back. And there was an Ultrachat that came in that was talking about Stand and Deliver and said the black and gold era is back. And I was like, no. Black and gold era is in the past. We've done black and gold era. It was great, and we had a great time there. And then we had the 2.0 era. Some people a lot of people didn't, but it was what it was. It's a new era. Yes, it is, of NXT. So you should be looking to the future as opposed to looking to the past of black and gold. And so that's what I'm with Cody. With Cody now, I want to look to the next step for Cody, not looking behind and just redoing some bloodline past.
I think that my final thought on the Bayley thing is that actually, I think the reason that a few people wanted it is because we got a reminder of who Bayley is at WrestleMania. She's one of the best to ever do it.
I love that match.
Specifically because that hugger character, was the sweetest girl you'll ever meet, but she wouldn't think twice to kick your head in, right? She was so good at that. She was such a good character in NXT to the point where when they do the Women's Revolution, Triple H is like, "Oh no, please leave me with Bayley," because he needed someone to steer the women's division in NXT, and he trusted Bayley above anybody else. Then when Bayley goes to the main roster, it's trash fire. This is your life.
It is a bad run. She wins the first world title more or less by accident.
And so we are, as people who are invested in this character, that's crushing.
It was crushing.
And it never got the opportunity. We trust this regime with Triple H in charge, knowing how he feels about Bayley, to do that character right. But also, we have moved on.
We did a poll on during the live reactions because a few Ultrachats came in saying that they thought that Bayley EO was better than Rhea Becky, and I wasn't sure where I stood on it because I thought that Bayley EO match was. This came directly after the match had finished, and I was like, that was so great, and I thought it was better than Becky Rhea, and I was like, no, is that just recency bias because the match literally has just finished? So I don't know, but now that I've slept on it for a couple of days. I still don't know where I stand on it, but I think I'm Team Bayley EO.
I do. Bayley EO was my match of the weekend, not including main events. I thought it was absolutely outstanding on so many different levels. I loved Becky and Rhea.
Yeah, the match was great.
And knowing especially that Becky did that with strep throat and 102-degree fever, and Rhea Ripley had a panic attack seconds before she left. Oh my god, the fact that the two of them pulled off that match is unreal to me.
And Rhea's aura when she came out, the swagger that she walked with, is not the swagger of someone who was having a panic attack an hour before the show.
And it's things like that, not to ruin the entire industry that we're in, and Wizard of Oz pull back the curtain. It's stuff that makes people like us sat here out of shape dads and whatever chatting about giving critiques on whether or not this Dragon Sleeper was done particularly well. I'm sorry, those are the real superstars. Do you know what I mean? I thought both matches were great. Becky EO, maybe Becky it was because Bayley EO, because it reminded us of who Bayley is, and it reminded us of who EO is, and how actually criminal it is that EO had only previously defended that belt against Michin in January, and then another time since October.
So rubbish.
Criminal.
Yeah.
And that's why it got the extra tick for me.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. I think I'm Bayley EO because that match was so incredible. The thing with Rhea is I just love the finish.
Oh, it was great.
I love the riptide into the corner, straight into the third riptide. I love that finish so much. Yeah. But that Bayley EO match from start to end was just so great.
Yeah.
But you're right. Again, it's all about that follow-up. Because I've seen a lot of great title wins in WWE in the Triple H era, and a lot of them have really bad follow-ups.
Often the women's championship.
Often the women. That was... go back into the show itself now. Oh, actually, no, before we do, we have a sponsor for this episode. If you want to get yourself into the world of professional wrestling, here is how you can do it.
Ever dreamt of breaking into the professional wrestling business as a wrestler, promoter, booker, commentator, referee, journalist? podcaster, YouTube star, or another key role, Wrestling Masterclass is a historic online course featuring over 70 HD video lessons, podcasts, and seminars with some of the world's top wrestling experts, both in the ring and behind the scenes, including Will Ospreay, Raven, Dutch Mantell, Doug Williams, Mike Chioda, and so many more. Start your journey today at WrestlingMasterclass.com.
Dan has actually just nipped to the toilet while that was on. Oh, actually, Dan, that is impressive.
Smashed it.
The second that advert started, Dan leapt to his feet and ran out the room. I was like, where are you going? He was like, I did a wee. And I was like, it's a 30-second ad.
Adrenaline in my soul. Oh, God. Coffee.
Very.
I had so much coffee today because I'm so tired from staying up all night, 3 nights in a row.
Very, very good.
So SmackDown Live as well.
So we had the opening 45-minute segment, and then we did get a little bit of wrestling to start off. Shinsuke Nakamura took on Ilya Dragunov. Dragunov is the NXT champion. This was done to promote the fact that the draft is happening at the end of this month on April 26th and 29th. Ilya won when he hit the H-bomb and the Torpedo Moscow for the win. Fun stuff. It's like that Raw After Mania cameo time.
Yeah. And it not being this, that here's a big name that's just arriving for a pop and we don't know what we're going to do with them. It was a lovely, like, hey, it was a showcase is what it was.
It's exactly what it was.
This is who Ilya Dragunov is. Go.
And a great way to do that as well. They did the same with Roxanne Perez later on in the night. It was there to very much establish NXT because NXT will be part of the draft. I don't know if they're getting a draft.
Ava. So there was a moment later on in the show where we had Ava, Aldis, and Pierce all together talking about the draft, and Ava said, "You never know who's going to be coming to NXT." So she kind of inferred there they are getting a draft pick.
And the only I think they will do, but they're not getting a special show for it.
You're right.
It is only on SmackDown and Raw.
Yeah.
So they are part of it, but they're like ECW in the sense of they're part of the draft, but they're not really getting. They're not getting proper draft picks. We got a recap of the World Championship match at WrestleMania. Then we got a recap of WrestleMania and the coverage that they got. Then the Judgment Day were in the ring, and Balor brought out Rhea Ripley. Dominic brought out Rhea Ripley, and then Balor brought out Damian Priest, who comes out with his brand new entrance theme.
Looking fantastic.
Priest called himself and Rhea Ripley the Terror Twins.
Good.
Which is very cute. I had this, and I wonder if you agree with me or get your thoughts on this. We, in the lead up to WrestleMania, had talked about how we didn't think Priest was going to cash in. And the reason for that, me and Denise had a big chat about this on her YouTube channel. The reason why I thought that Priest wasn't going to cash in is because WWE had not built him up to feel like a main event star. It kind of really, I don't want to say dropped the ball or fumbled, but they made him feel like a huge deal when he won the briefcase in July. And then he just really petered out, nice bloke, until we got to this point here. And it was the first time when I saw the World Heavyweight Championship on Priest, and he does look great with it. He's got this great presentation, but it was like, this belt feels a bit mid-card now.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I did feel that. I also was not of the mind. I thought that the booking of the cash-in was excellent.
So great.
I think what we saw later on in the night was excellent. I think Priest is and looks excellent. I think it was too soon for him to feel like the big star. That said, go on.
Well,
standing next to Rhea Ripley with their matching belts, loved it.
And like, now's the time.
Yeah,
like, you know, you've put the belt on him. Now you need to really elevate him and make him feel like he is the main event guy, because you had not been doing that in the lead up to this.
Do you want a Dolph Ziggler cash in, or do you want a elevate you to the next level?
I said to Denise, I was like, you don't want this to feel like Jack Swagger.
Right, exactly. That's a really good example.
So this led into some comedy, because R-Truth jumped into the ring to also celebrate.
Good comedy.
Very good comedy. He said, look, guys, I brought the tag titles back to Judgment Day. He still thinks he's part of the group. Yeah. Miz came out and said, look, I don't want to be in this group, and Truth, neither do you. Balor asked them to put the titles on the line. Truth instead suggested a 6-man tag with a partner that you can't see. That did lead to Awesome Truth versus the Judgment Day in a 3-on-2 handicap match. However, they did get a tag partner, and you can't see him. John Cena's music hit. He came down. He is the world's goofiest wrestler. All three of them did the 5-knuckle shuffle and a triple AA for the win.
Yeah, I actually, this was a good opportunity for Damian Priest to assert a level of power and dominance, almost being like, you guys deal with this now. I'm the world champion. Like, sod off. This is JD. You do something, but I don't care. I'm leaving, kind of thing. I think that would have been a really good opportunity to step him away from Goober Squad of the Judgment Day and make him feel like more important than this R-Truth tag team nonsense. They didn't do that, but that's whatever. But then when the match itself was going down, the second he says someone you can't see, and you think about Little Jimmy and how he'd said on like Pat McAfee's show or ESPN or something like that, he was like, I used to watch him do the open challenge every Saturday morning or something, and it's hilarious.
Yeah. R-Truth getting to have his boyhood dream of tagging with his childhood hero of a man he is older than.
Yeah,
it's very good.
And Cena looked like he was having fun in the moment as well. We were all having fun. That crowd who were hot all night were having fun. It was great. I've
got to echo with what Ollie said on the WrestleTalk Podcast review of Monday of WrestleMania Night 2, which is that John Cena is an incredible actor. He's a very good comedic actor. But the second he puts on wrestling gear, it's like he doesn't know how to act. And he's just the world's goofiest man. And he feels like a throwback to the rock and wrestling cartoon era of WWE, and it doesn't fit. It's like one of these things is not like the other. He just looks very silly.
You know when The Rock pulled off his Chippendale trousers and was wearing his just wrestling gear, and it looked like, oh, you just make sense. Cena in old Cena gear, like the jorts and the brightly colored t-shirt. I'm like, yeah, but you are like a 40, 50-year-old man. Like, you don't look as cool and young as you used to do.
Is it because he's got the bald patch
on
the back of his head?
But like, also I don't care. Like, crack on.
But that's it. It's Raw After Mania. You should be doing the fun stuff like this.
This was a perfect Raw After Mania.
That's exactly it. And this is the right time to do this. So, the Fight for Select report. He's not sticking around. Like, he's not going to be doing more matches. That doesn't matter. Because this is exactly what you should be using John Cena for. This is a great little thing to be doing on the Raw After Mania. I really enjoyed it. We got a recap of Bronson Reed winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. He then cut a promo backstage. We got a tease for Bo Dallas. Here. So
I mean, we don't know that, but probably.
Well, the Fight for Select report is that this is a continuation of... at the end of the Bray Wyatt documentary, there was a tease for the Bo Dallas return. Before Raw went on the air, they dimmed the lights and played some music. That was there to kind of let you know Bo Dallas is coming back soon. And then during this promo here, the screen went a bit staticky and very much in the corner. You can only see it if you pause it. Like if you go almost like frame by frame. In the bottom right-hand corner, it says, hello. Sort of like in our Arial fonts.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Like in black Arial fonts, it says hello. Like I missed it the first time, and then I read the Fight for Select report, went back and had to go and I missed it for a second time. So I was like pausing it, going frame by frame to see it. But yeah, this is according to Fight for Select, more teasers for the return of Bo Dallas. Cody will be on SmackDown this week. Backstage, Rhea was chatting with Dom to kind of sort out the Andrade problem. I guess that match with Ricochet isn't happening now.
And then Liv Morgan tried to kill her.
Yeah. Liv Morgan absolutely walloped Rhea Ripley and they brawled. And then the camera very coolly moved from like this battle in the backstage area through the concourse area into the arena where Indi Hartwell was in the ring ready for her match with Roxanne Perez.
I loved this far more than them having one corner of the backstage area where they film everything.
Yeah.
It's you're trying new things, keep trying them. This was great.
So Indi Hartwell did take on Roxanne Perez. Candice LeRae tripped Roxanne, and Indi argued with Candice about it. Then Roxanne, because she's a heel now, did the eye rake and then hit the pop rocks for the win. And Candice was there being like, told you so. I thought it was a good little story for Indi Hartwell. It's continuing on for this Candice thing, because the lesson of this was, like, I cheated and you could have won. Then Roxanne cheated and she did win. So what did you learn here?
Yeah. I'm still in the same boat I was with this Candice story. I'm all for it. Just stop telling it in the wrong order.
Yeah.
But now at the very least, this is the right order.
We got a recap of WrestleMania and the coverage that they got. Sami chatted with Jay backstage, and then Roxanne was walking backstage and had a chat with Natalya about tonight's NXT.
Yep.
Then Sami came out for a promo.
By the way, I'm getting my women's mid-card title. It's just on NXT, which is fine.
Well, we've got a video coming out. I think it's coming out this weekend, actually. So our Saturday video, our new WrestleTalk original, is predicting WrestleMania 41 way too far in advance. I've got something in there about that women's mid-card title. And I did it just for you.
Thanks, mate. Was it take my ideas?
That's what I'm always doing.
Especially on the WrestleTalk main channel that I'm not on.
Hey, look.
The witchy girls will forever be a bone of contention.
It happened one time, and I got swept up thinking that we'd all enjoyed that, and that we'd all collectively decided that was law.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Sami came out for his promo. I would like an apology from everyone in the live chats and the comments who were having a go at me for constantly saying that this was a Rocky story and being like, you don't know it's a Rocky story. You don't know that that's the story that they're doing. They had told you on TV that's what it was. His new t-shirt is a Rocky reference.
He tweeted a Rocky reference as well.
I'm just looking for my apology. And I want it to be as public and as loud as the disrespect. I'm kidding, of course. He put over Gunther as the best IC champion of all time, and I beat him. So I thought it's great. Like that's what a great promo is. It's you are putting over the person that you've beaten while also putting over yourself. You didn't beat a nobody, you beat a somebody. He's about to talk about Chad Gable as someone who helped him. And Imperium, without Gunther, came out. And Kaiser said that Sami looks like a bum. And they had to make this right. Chad's music ran down. And then the two of them took on Imperium. And Sami and Chad won.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Lovely, lovely, lovely Raw After Mania match. Chad gets the fall, which was also a good choice. More interestingly, though, is what went down. Oh, by the way, we're chanting we want beach balls and they can go fuck themselves.
I mean, actually, a Fightful Slate report on that. Several beach balls were confiscated during the night.
If you are someone bringing a beach ball to the Raw After Mania in the year 2024, I bet you're really boring at parties. Like, I bet you tell the same joke over and over again. Like, it's just, that was so 10 years ago. And even then it was disrespectful. Like, this is not the time for that. Yeah. Let's move on. I hate fun. But what I don't hate is what went down later on.
Well, I mean, in the match, and this, when Sami did the ankle lock,
yeah,
this is the point I was making a few weeks back about, like, I wish we'd done the Sami Chad thing a month and a bit ago, so we could have had more of this in the lead up to the Gunther match, which I thought was spectacular.
Yeah, big time.
But yeah, so because when Sami went the ankle lock, I was like, yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see the fruits of his training. Because really, the match itself, what we saw was just Sami. Like, that was just pure Sami. It wasn't like wrestling guy Sami.
Yeah.
Apart from when he, learned from. Actually, if anything, he learned more from his time with El Generico than he did his time with Chad Gable.
A little bit.
And he had the hell of a kick into the Chaos Theory for the win. That was a lot of fun. But yes, later on in the show, Sami approached Gable, and I thought this was quite cute. He was like, hey, you asked for a favor if I won this title, and I just gave you that favor. I tagged you in at the end of that match so that you could win.
Yeah. And
Chad was about to like flip and he's like, I'm kidding. I know you want a shot at this belt, so let's do it next week in Montreal.
It's like I'll give you the opportunity, but it's on my home turf situation, which was quite interesting. I am not sure where this goes. I saw Chad and Sami as a great first story to fuck. Because for me, the question is always what next? Theme of the show. What do you do after Gunther's reign to solidify the work Gunther's done? Sami and Chad Gable as a storyline is a really good thing to put in that space and let it go for a little while. So giving us the match immediately is really interesting. And I don't know where it's going to go. Now, Chad did a promo on Raw Talk with my future ex-wife, Kathy Kelly. And it was absolutely fascinating. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it, no.
I encourage you to go and watch it. It's all of 50 seconds long. But it is a full heel promo. He basically says, you asked for this, so don't be surprised. And I'm almost quoting directly, but slight paraphrasing. Don't be surprised when it's not only his wife, his son, but also the entire city of Montreal crying when I walk out as champion. He basically said, I'm gonna make your little boy cry. It was, yep, there it is. It was real good heel talk. And it was also the best Chad Gable promo I've really sort of seen. I liked all of the It Means More stuff that we'd had. I've liked this business with Sami, but I was like, lean in, like, this is interesting. So where do we go from here? Does Sami lose the belt to Gable, and then Gable doesn't grant him a rematch and instead goes a little bit heel? Does Sheamus come back and interfere, and then we can extend the Sami and Chad story a little bit longer? Personally, I'd have had Sami always have a perfectly legitimate excuse to not follow through on the Owen Gable one. Mm-hmm. So, Chad, like tonight, for instance, I was going to give you an opportunity, but then Imperium got in, so we tagged instead. Next week, for instance, you could have McIntyre absolutely, beat the bejesus out of Jey Uso, and Sami goes to the hospital with him. He's like, so I've got it, not this week, like whatever. Do this for a little while until Chad is like, I'm sick of this, you're a twat, and I'm going to bat you. Like, I find that compelling. I loved what opportunities were presented by this. I loved what happened on Raw Talk more. I really don't know what's going to go down.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where I'm like, I'm just going to tune in next week to see. Because
it's going to be great. The match should, if it's just a match, it's going to be a great match.
Because I ever since they did the gauntlets and Sami won, I know you've talked about this and Pete's talked about this. The live chat, the comments have talked about this. I don't like the idea of heel Chad Gable.
Watch this Raw Talk, you might change your mind. Honestly.
Well, but that's not what I mean. I'm sure it's great, and I know that he'll be great doing it. But Chad's got so over as a babyface, and we haven't really had that yet. Like, we haven't had enough of that run yet. So I want to see more of that before we're just turning him heel. I haven't had my full Chad Gable, like, not main event, but like Intercontinental picture babyface run. I feel like I haven't had my fill of it yet before we're immediately going into a heel turn, which I don't think is needed for him.
I feel like I got enough of it to be satisfied in that program with Gunther, and something about this, it's 50 seconds long, but something about this made me go, that's more interesting than I thought. I wanted that. I want this now.
I mean, as I said, like,
I'll see what they do because it's Chad Gable.
Well, this is what I mean. I'm more than happy to just see what it is and just find out what I make of it. My gut feeling is that I'm not that I'm not going to enjoy it. I don't want to see it at the moment.
Yeah.
That is not to say that they do it and I'm going to hate it. Because they might do it and I'll be like, actually, I was way better than I thought it was going to be. But my heart...
It's all in the execution.
It's all in the execution. At the moment, what I really want to see is a big Chad Gable babyface run. And that's kind of what I'm yearning for at the moment. But that's not to say that they should just do that. Saw someone take massive umbrage with me at making my little joke about the Rocky thing. I just want to let I was kidding. Like, I'm not actually.
No, everything you say in this podcast is real.
I'm not actually looking for an apology. I'm just having a bit of fun.
He's going to come to each one of your doors.
It's like the end of Jane Silent Bob Strike Back. I'm going to shove at every single one of your doors, bat you down. We've got a recap of WrestleMania and the coverage that they got. Jey Uso cut a promo about the Fatal 4-Way. He said, in that Fatal 4-Way's night, it's just me, Oos. I'm like, no, there's 3 other people, mate. We also saw Ricochet training. Andrade was chatting with Aldis Pearce and Ava, talking about the draft. Chelsea Green walks in and said that she was not on WrestleMania, and that is sad. And I want my WrestleMania moments for tonight. And Aldis and Pearce, who've got quite a lot of contentious relationship, found their common
bickering wives.
They found their common ground here, which is annoyance over Chelsea Green. So Adam Pearce booked her a match, and Nick Aldis has made it an inter-promotional match.
Yeah,
and it was against Jade Cargill.
Yeah, I didn't know who it was going to be. I quite like the idea of it being Bayley and like her just getting a sort of a run-out match as champion, get a win straight away kind of thing. Another one. So when the storm was coming and the blue light, I was like, oh, and that is more evidence of how Jade Cargill is just everything.
Exactly. And it was the perfect thing to do with Jade Cargill. She came out, she did 2 moves, and she won.
I saw a tweet that said Chelsea Green is never going to be a multi-time women's world champion, but she's going to be so effective. And she is. I am happy every single time I see Chelsea Green on my screen. I would quite like for her to be given a championship reign at some point. This incarnation isn't how it's going to go down, but that doesn't stop it from being a really brilliant part to play in the full picture.
Maybe I appreciate I'm an old man, and this is why I think I can't remember where I said this. I think I said it on Denise's show, or I've said it somewhere else recently. I was like, I'm really glad that there is like a new generation of wrestling pundits coming in that are much younger than I am, because they're not because they're not just men who are approaching 40 still singing the praises of WrestleMania X7 because they were there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's good to have new opinions and new fresh takes on things. And maybe this is just me being an old man. Not everyone needs a world title reign.
No, I agree.
And so, like, if Chelsea Green never wins a world title in WWE...
That was the point of this tweet. Yeah.
Yeah, like, if Chelsea Green never wins the world title in WWE, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because not everyone needs to win the world title. If... here's another good example of this. If Chad Gable never wins the world title, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because he has fulfilled his role within the world of professional wrestling.
Not everybody in the Hall of Fame has won a world title. Not that the Hall of Fame is necessarily the most be all and end all real thing in the world, but like I feel very much that I'm someone who like wants I'm a Lindsay Lohan at the end of Mean Girls kind of guy with a bit of crown for everybody, you know.
You, Jen, well, actually no, you're the same age as me.
Excuse me, I'm not the same age as you. I'm actually younger.
You're more or less.
I'm quite
more
younger.
or less, right?
No, I'm younger.
Yeah. Oh no, you're younger, but it's more or less the same.
I'm in my late 20s. The idea that everyone gets an opportunity. I'm joking about being in my late 20s, but I am not joking about being younger than Luke Owen.
You are younger
not
than
your
me.
age.
Fine. That's fine. I'm the oldest person on the channel.
I like the idea of everybody. Good work deserves reward. I like the idea of everyone getting an opportunity. If the work and the story and the character creates the right moment.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm sat there going like, I kind of want Natalya to have a world title reign of some form. I want to get her there because I believe she has the skills to do it if she's booked correctly. But also, you are right. Not everybody needs a world title reign. It's about playing your part in. Too Cool were in a main event on Raw on one I rewatched the other day.
Is it that one? The one where Kane comes back?
Can't remember.
Because that's one of my favorite like main events of Raw ever.
Oh, quite possibly.
It's Too Cool, Cactus Jack, and The Rock versus the Radicals and DX.
Yes, that's exactly the one.
That match is so great. Like that is if you haven't seen like sort of 2000s era Raw, go back and watch like that match because that is all about like the incredible star power that was on display and how much people were so into the idea of Too Cool and Rikishi backing up Cactus Jack and The Rock.
Nobody in their right minds believes that Too Cool are main event stars, right? But they are such important parts of what makes that show good. Chelsea Green is a massively important part of what makes Raw an entertaining show to watch.
Yeah. Then we had the Sami thing. We had a recap of WrestleMania and the coverage that they got. And then we got our main event of Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso versus Ricochet versus Bronson Reed. Drew cut a promo before and he was pissed off tonight. He was champion for 5 minutes and 46 seconds. And this is where he said that the briefcase is cheap. He's lost a world title twice because of it now. And it was then I was like, oh, he's so going to win Money in the Bank. And he's going to use it to cash in because he's a big hypocrite. Yeah. And I love that so much. I
love that as an idea.
It's so, and I love it. Problem was, when I was trying to think about it, was Clash happens before Money in the Bank.
Well, it depends on what you want to do with Clash, right? And now, I over the WrestleMania weekend, Tempest was giving it all this about like he's not re-signed, I would know if he'd re-signed kind of thing, and I was like, oh, are you in the contract negotiations with him then? Because I'm convinced he has re-signed because you don't get Glasgow with him as the front unless it's like, please re-sign with us, please. But also like, you know, great that we have a world where everyone can go everywhere else. I don't know that Drew McIntyre gets a better position signing for AEW or New Japan or TNA than he has right now.
Bingo.
Top of the card, fascinating story, brilliant character, critical acclaim. For me, sign a contract. Request it to be a few years less if you want to, or whatever. Like for me, I don't. If I'm Drew McIntyre's agent, I'm telling him to sign and to stay where he is. Either way, I feel like you can either have him win it at Clash, which is due. It's before Money in the Bank, so that's June, or he's the champ going in. I don't know how you do that, but I think he's in the championship unless it's Punk back into. I don't know, but yeah, the idea of the Money in the Bank thing is super fun, but that's far enough away that I don't know if there's a better job to do.
That's it. Yeah, like I'm fantasy booking at the moment that he wins Money in the Bank based off one line that he said here. Yeah. And the only reason I love it is because it really plays into the hypocritical nature of Drew. This idea that his grievances with Seth, that he was not focused on the world title match, but he himself was not focused on the world title match. Like I love all of this for Drew. The timing doesn't quite line up in my fantasy booking that I'd like to do, unless of course, because this hasn't been done previously, he goes into Money in the Bank as World Heavyweight Champion
To knock it out of the question.
To win the briefcase and be like, now no one can cash in on me.
Interesting. Because you don't get an automatic rematch now.
Yeah, don't get the automatic rematch. And then basically just hold on to it for a year. Yeah. Unless he loses the belt. It's almost like a safety net.
I mean, you do need to do so. It's the same with the Royal Rumble, where it's like, I don't want to not see the Royal Rumble, but it hasn't been amazing for a few years now. Money in the Bank, I like Money in the Bank as a concept. It hasn't been amazing for a few years now.
Yeah.
You need to do something fresh with it.
Agreed.
So,
but this match had, as you would expect for the 4 lads in here, great action. Also, I also enjoyed Drew's line where he said, "I'm going to target Punk's weak point, which is his entire body." So this great action for me absolutely culminated in a moment where Ricochet did a springboard 450 through the announcer's table.
Yep.
You know, the ones that are on the outside. It's not like he did a springboard 450 to the floor or into the ring. No, he did a springboard 450 to the announcer's table.
He really did that.
It was insanity.
It looked yucky.
It was incredible.
Like, it really looked like it hurt.
Yeah,
he smacked himself on it, but I mean, it was amazing.
Apparently, he apologized to Samantha before he did it.
It was really funny. He did some weird noises during this match. But he stood. It was a great little bit of booking because everyone had been placed, and then Ricochet's up, and he's sort of looking around the ring, ready for someone. He's like, "There's no one around. Like, I'm the one standing. I could win this," but everyone's, "Oh, there's someone there on that table." And then he's sort of holding onto the ropes, and he just sort of looks over and he goes, "Sorry," and then does it. Like, he's like, "I'm not going to not do this," kind of thing. It was really, really well
so
effective.
good. Because like even if he'd done a springboard splash, it would have been impressive.
Yeah.
But he did a springboard 450. Absolutely bonkers.
Let Ricochet be Ricochet.
So then Drew took out Jey Uso, hit him with the Future Shock, was going to hit the Claymore, but
just the best.
That prick CM Punk
so funny
appeared from nowhere, grabbed Drew's foot, distracted him. Jey hit the spear and a splash for the win. Punk screws Drew again.
And this is the most brilliant bit of Punk being Punk. Grabbing the foot and not seeing it until the camera sort of pans out a little bit, and he's just there with a massive grin on his face, like, like it was really funny. Adding to yesterday, Sunday, where like the two of them together had a really big, that booking of that cash in, as I said, was brilliant. Specifically when Priest comes out and Punk has almost like this couldn't be more perfect look on his face.
It wasn't part of Punk's plan.
Yeah, it's like,
he just attacked him because he was annoyed by him.
Loved it.
But the fact that he was like, oh no, he's going to lose that belt. That's going to be even funnier.
Yeah, the two of them were doing such a good job with that. So that this was just the most brilliant. And then he stood on. I would have preferred him to be sat on the announce table because it's Punk in the sitting down, and Drew has ate for the sitting down a few times. I just loved it. Yep. Thought it was brilliant. Excellent way to. I mean, Jey and Priest is a really good thing. That's going to be a good match. Priest hopefully to get a few wins up to build him into the main event status. Drew still, is kept away from that for a while. I loved it all. It was absolutely sensational. Fan dabby dozy.
Yeah, I had a great time with this episode of Raw.
Yeah.
This for me was like, it's exactly what you want out of a Raw after Mania. Yeah. Like there was surprisements in the form of the NXT guys and girls coming up. You had Cody and The Rock setting up what is going to be one of the bigger world title matches of this year, possibly this year, or maybe even we had a segment that set up next year's WrestleMania main event. We had the great main event. And it was it's new people, new fresh storylines. The Ultrachat that we had in earlier, that's sort of about how Jey and Priest feels like a fresh thing. It again kind of solidifies a bit of a mid-card feel to the belt, but I'd much rather that than just going Drew again. And that was my worry, that Drew was going to win. I was like, immediately go back into that. I was like, no, I'd much rather have someone different going for this belt. I gave it 5 out of 5. Love this show. We've got a poll going up now. Give it a little thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, what you thought of this show. And we're going to shout out some of our very special Pledgehammers over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Head on over there. We have never had as many patrons as we currently have at the moment. And a lot of that is because people are loving the Monday Night War over on partsFUNknown, and you get early access to those Monday Night War episodes. You can also see the it's not the draft, what do they call it? The trades.
We had to do some trades.
The trades are in full over there. That'll be at the start of next episode, like an edited version of it. You can go watch the full version of it over on patreon.com. www.WrestleTalk, as well as the Booking Podcast, where we break down any behind-the-scenes news that are going around it. And if you've been enjoying this whole Bloodline thing, you know, certainly Seth's involvement in the main event. Ollie and I are breaking down 2014 and the breakup of the Shield. So it couldn't have been going a better time for you to go and check that out over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. And if you're one of our $25 and above Patreon Pledgehammers, you get your name read out on the show like these fine folks. The Cleaner, Kenny Shah.
The British Bulldog, Philip Boy J. Smith Jr.
He can last Sean Furr longer than you in the ring.
Starbuck, Stephen Costa.
Balding Brummy, Brent Linforth.
Burly Rob Burwell.
He ran Aaron Hanrahan.
He brings the fear, Amir Jones.
Apoc Alex now.
Andrew Gifford, the Big Red Dog.
Keeper of the Mask Mysteries, Angie.
And the Schrock Master, Austin Schrock.
That is your Hall of Fame class for Tuesday, the 9th of April, 2024. Let's get into your remaining Ultra Chats. And Ben Vlerick here says, Punk should be back soon, right? Got to capitalize on that momentum. Hell, the all-in reveal on Dynamite might just boost it. Punk will get even more hate and or love. The reactions the man gets, real life and online, it's fascinating. Cult of personality, indeed.
As long as the work is this good, I don't care.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Like when he came back for Collision, I said that on a lot of Collision podcasts. Like, that is the magic of CM Punk. He has that intangible magic. James Dobb here said, I thought Raw was good, but the focus remains on primarily the same people. Don't get me wrong, I think that's the right call. However, I do think SmackDown will focus on building new stars. Hopefully Breaker, Tiffany, and Jade will get their time to shine.
Yeah, I mean, Jade got her time to shine.
Jade was on this show. But I agree, like, I think Breaker will have something. They were clearly on the SmackDown, not before WrestleMania, but the one before that, so 2 weeks before Mania. They had the Tiffany Stratton video package, and I said to Sat on the SmackDown review that will never get seen, that to me said, oh, your push is coming after WrestleMania. And that's fine. Like, that is a SmackDown after Mania, your push will start.
You need the after Mania shows, especially in this now interregnum period between now and the draft, are a complicated beast because you have to address the fallout of Mania. There has to be fallout. Ergo, some of the people you've been seeing a lot have to be on the show, and you want to be able to start planting new seeds and going off in new directions. I wouldn't be surprised if these next few weeks do feel like showcases more than anything else.
Will Campbell here said, hey guys, Raw After Mania was great last night. Cool to see Ilya and Roxy, and that 45-minute segment at the beginning was captivating. Also, I don't care that Sami just won the title, because when Sheamus comes back, he needs to win the IC belt in Glasgow, his hometown. Kirk Hardiman has been a member for 31 months in a row. Said, not a usual WWE watcher, but I'm loving pro wrestling right now. Oh man, that Michael Cole call.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, one of the best of all time.
Mania Paysville Dan said, hello Luke, other Dan, hope you're all doing well. Ilya Dragunov is here, but I do have to say Philly should study their tapes of a certain promotion in a certain Central European country. Ilya is used to louder reactions.
Does the work, you'll get them.
Ket, at the moment, I can't buy into Priest as world champion. Not saying he isn't world championship material, but the last few months he's been in the mid-card, and it doesn't help now that he's feuding with mid-carders like Miz and R-Truth.
It's all about presentation.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And like the time now is, look, in an ideal world, in a perfect world, you'd have done this leading up to the cash-in and made him feel like a main event guy, but you chose not to. So
he was, in a way, saddled with the tag belts.
Yeah, you made the choice not to do that. So now you've got to do it. Now you've got to make him look and feel and present him like a main event guy.
If you look at the picture of him at the press conference, he looks it. If you look at him with the Archer thing, the new music, he looks it. You've got to do the rest.
That's exactly it. Yeah, looking at where you can only get you so far, because that's going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
Charlie the Brain said, "Hey guys, love it when I'm on school holidays. I'm a teacher, and my wife is at work, so a joyful 90 minutes ahead for me. My question: do you think this can take the top spot as the greatest WrestleMania of all time, or is it still piped by X7? Well, I think that is. I'm looking forward to those conversations to be had over the next few years.
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy this conversation in the moment now because, what a show.
I think we're going to have to wait and see its posterity. But having watched it twice in 24 hours, I just thought it was brilliant.
And I cannot stress enough how much I love Night 2.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I was saying this to Adam Whitney earlier. Obviously, I've got to go punch him in the face later for messing around with my setup and stuff. But I was saying to him earlier that, even matches that I had very low expectations for, AJ and LA Knight, and Final Testament versus Bobby and Friends. I had such little not even low expectations. I didn't care.
Yeah,
I didn't really care. Matches were hell of fun.
Absolutely,
particularly Knight and Styles. I really enjoyed that. Unknown Super Chat. That is their name. Said it was a good Raw. A weird Raw, but a good Raw. I hope Rhea doesn't have a concussion after Liv yeeted that chair. The Natty Roxanne thing was weird, but there was a bisexual Undertaker reference, so a good show. 3 out of 5 because no P.D. Williams. Oh, that is actually a true point. I didn't take into the fact that P.D. was not on the show. Chaos Control said the vocal minority is just that. A small amount that's loud. Got to remind people that Twitter especially is a small amount of the world. Fandom's worst people unfortunately love on the internet. That said, this is the most excited I've been to watch Raw. I can't wait for next week's show. And SmackDown this week, in fact. Fujiwara Armbar said, hey guys, WrestleMania weekend was great fun. Enjoyed Ram thoroughly and was so happy to see Ilya on there. He is a joy to watch. Hoping Drew regains the title in Glasgow. Great episode. Not a Cena fan, but I popped hard when his music hit. WWE is fun again. In my opinion, Luke, Sat, and Dan should replace Michael Cole and Pat on commentary. Love you, Dan, but Sat's celebration was hilarious. Trips is playing my GM mode IRL and mixing it up. Ricochet and Reed in the main event was great booking. They deserved a big push. Well, I made that joke on the live reactions during the triple threat match with Logan Paul. I was like, you can tell the Triple H plays my GM mode because you have to do 2 baby faces in a triple threat match in order to get the good scores.
And of the 2 baby faces to pick, those were the perfect 2 for that match. It was great.
So fun, that match. Yes, that did. He was so beyond happy to win that championship.
Yeah.
Got a perfect card. Got no predictions wrong.
Hey, I mean, if you're going to do it like that.
Liam
You're
version
beat the best.
Liam version 1 said, hi lads. The amount of women's wrestling on our last night's 3-hour show was shorter than Melina versus Alicia Fox from the 9th of the 8th episode, 2010 episode of Raw, which is also 2 hours and had other women's matches on it. It's happened quite a lot recently. They do deserve better.
Liam, look, you're right, but you are comparing it to one of the greatest women's matches of all time, as decreed by Cameron on Tough Enough.
Is that the match she's referring to, though?
Hundo P. It's one of the most recent matches she's seen on TV at that point.
Oh, I see. I thought I might have had one on pay-per-view or something. No. But I mean, you're right. Like, I didn't make reference to it here, but I mean, there's a shocking. I made my joke. There was 4 minutes of wrestling in the first 75 minutes of the broadcast. It's really funny that a lot of people say online that AEW is just 2000 WCW when 2000 WCW literally did an hour without any wrestling and then did a 4-minute match. Like, WWE literally was WCW in the year 2000 last night, but because they're hot and you can do no wrong, it doesn't matter.
They also weren't WCW in 2000 because it was all good.
Well, that's the other side of it. Well, that's the other side of it.
It was good stuff.
And that's the counter to it. Is it was great. Like, it was Rock, Cody, and Triple H, and 3 hugely over guys, and they were just awesome.
Get your stopwatches out when it's rubbish. When it's good, I don't care.
But again, too, that it's like, give the women more time.
Yeah.
Alamac said, still feels unreal that Roman isn't champion anymore. Also, is it just me, or does Cena wrestle like he's doing the YouTube thumbnail face whenever he comes back to wrestle now? His facial expressions are so extra. He is the world's goofiest wrestler.
Yeah.
It always has been. Gale Force 5, Undertaker makes sense for one surface level reason. His theme is a cemetery bell. The theme for XL is based around the Liberty Bell. Bell plus bell equals pop. Also, finally, Ilya wrestling on the main roster. Caleb Cannon said, not about Raw, but I just got back from Philly and wanted to say this weekend was magical. I was lucky enough to attend Stand and Deliver and both nights of Mania with friends. People throw the word fake around a lot, but man, when Cody gave his mum the title, that's real.
Yeah.
Golden Knights fan 84. Hey Luke and Prof, watch the Cody Rock segment, and in regards to what Cody was handed, the emphasis on the words smell and cooking, and also don't break my heart again. Finally, the fact that Cody's bus caught fire, it was a lighter, and Rock was saying it was him. Oh, it's actually quite nice. I like that a lot.
I want it to be that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly.
Horrible.
Honestly, though.
Yeah, well done.
Kevin.
Good God.
Kevin here said, show and tell. They told us all weekend it's a new era. The Raw After Mania was also a statement. The main event was great. Big fan of the NXT cameos and the Liv Rhea segment. I hope that Jay and Priest get a real main event treatment and it gets elevated by this program. Emil said, Cody Rhodes only works for me as a wrestling character, but the same character in a movie and I would hate it. But because we know that to a certain, probably large extent, it's who he is as a real person, it makes me believe. There's a slight correction. It was Raw in 1999, not 2000. GG Baxter, the reason I thought the Redemption Tour was because one of the issues with long-term booking is buying into the fact that the champion could lose. Putting Cody against LA Knight, for example, is a predictable result, but okay, because Cody is doing a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm also a believer. I don't think that predictability is a bad thing in wrestling. The Camera 777 said, "Hey guys, was anyone else confused by the Egypt theme for Bayley? Excited to go to Raw next week for Sami and hopefully a Chad heel turn. Looking for a WrestleTalk sign, friends."
Yeah, I didn't get it. The Egypt thing, but
yeah,
fine.
Shaggy Dudley, adrenaline in Dancel, so much so he missed the bowl.
I will have you know, my aim is immaculate.
Did you wash your hands?
Of course I wash my hands.
Okay.
I'm really good at this.
Well, I was only the chat were like, you were so quick that.
Hey.
Chad doing the Montreal Screwjob version 7.0.
I didn't do the full
week.
happy birthday.
Boris is going to be very upset with
sure
you.
He will. How dirty do you think I am?
I don't need another Montreal Screwjob.
No, me neither.
It's all the same with you. Monkeys Are Banana 77. Second Ultrachat here from a teacher who is loving joining you with my Sumatran coffee. Sumatran coffee, I do apologize. Feel free to ignore my first as you already answered it. I know he's only just won it, but who would you guys pick as Cody's first challenger?
Yeah, I didn't know. There was a little part of me. I mean, he's wrestled 2 nights in a row, marathon matches each, but I was like, have him come out and have a challenger. Like, I don't know who it is, someone who can lose straight away, but like, have him be like, well, I'm a fighting champion, so have a go. But I don't know who his first program should be.
Okay, so I need it. Okay, needs a strong word. I want it to be someone big.
Yeah.
I want it to be a big name that you could see as a credible threat to Cody losing that belt.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking of someone like a Randy Orton, in a way.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm going for that is because when Danielson won the world title, he went straight into a feud with Kane. And they only got 1 match, but they were planning to have more matches before he got injured. They were going to do a series of programs, a series of matches on pay-per-view. And it was like, you are playing second fiddle to Shield and Evolution. And you shouldn't feel like that. Like, we've been wanting this title win for so long. You deserve something bigger than just wrestling Kane. Because no one buys Kane. Like, that felt so mid-card. Cody needs a big program here to establish his reign as champion. I don't want a mid-card filler thing.
This is why, in my head, I had like a Sami, where Sami said, you once said that you believed I could do it. But now Sami's way too involved elsewhere. It's going to need a while before it becomes Sami. I don't know. And Orton is a nice choice because you want to strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah.
A lot of the idea of holding things back necessarily is I understand why you would, but you don't want to do it with everything.
Yeah.
So,
Cara Stealth here said, when will Asian wrestlers stop being treated like bridesmaids and never the bride? Damage Control treated as enhancement talent for Jade. Xia Lee's missing. Io's reign booked horrid and really needed that win versus Bayley. Why wouldn't Io be a workhorse champ compared to Rhea?
Yeah,
why
I think they
couldn't
dropped
Io?
the ball massively on Io.
Hugely dropped the ball.
But that said, again, in the history of NXT, when you think about what Kairi Sane represents, when you think about what Asuka represents, when you think about what Io Sky represents, it's not the case to say... recent history is different. I appreciate that. But treat like the bridesmaid, never the bride, when 2 of the 3 of them have been champion in the last calendar year, is one thing. Again, it is the booking.
Yes.
You know?
I was going to say, like that. I think it's surface level that they were champions. You know, like Asuka and Kairi Sane are the women's tag champs at the moment.
Right.
But like that means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So some people in the chat suggesting Solo. That feels far too mid card. Like
Go an anti-bloodline for a while. Go
and I would be on board for the Solo thing if they'd have done something after he'd squashed John Cena, but he's done nothing since. Ziggy Gamma, on behalf of those who are wrong, I would like to publicly apologize to Luke. Shame on anyone who dares to question this man. Love Chelsea Green. Hope she wins Money in the Bank or an NXT Women North American title, but she's fine if she never wins the title. She's so good. I've said this multiple times over, but I love it when she's on a show.
Yeah.
Holy moly, Jimmy! What up, guys? Hope all is well. With the tease of Bo, do you think they're going to do? Are they going to go with a faction or have him run solo for a while? Maybe a way to bring Braun back. Could have him and Liv interact due to their IRL partnership. Who would you guys add?
I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
And I want to keep it that way. I think I want to go very sensitively around this. Because it is obviously Bray, but Bray is no longer with us, and I don't want to do what we always did with Bray, which was get ahead of ourselves, go into all of these questions. I could understand why we always did, because it was so interesting, even if it wasn't executed brilliantly by those in charge. So I want to tread a bit lightly on let's see what happens with Uncle Howdy.
Yeah.
A Bray's vision without Bray is going to be an interesting thing.
That's even when he comes back as Uncle Howdy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious to see what they are gonna do with Bo.
Yeah,
like the way that he's been presented, sort of like, a little bit spooky, a little bit, with the glitch in the hello in the corner. They are gonna go with probably more of a supernatural thing. Yeah. But I'm curious to see what that
Alexa
looks
involvement,
like.
Maybe.
Yeah, Alexa involvement, I think would be nice. I think I think I said this on the WrestleMania stream, but like him continuing on the Wyatt Six, the plan they had for the Wyatt Six family, but a different version of it, I think would be quite nice. Raymond here said, one of my favorite moments from Raw was when the crowd started chanting, "He's our bum," in response to Ludwig calling Sami a bum. Johnny All In said, you've mentioned recently and in the past about how when you're number one, you shouldn't punch down. However, with the Punk interview and Pat McAfee's Rhea comments last week, it seems WWE spent a lot of time in their biggest week ever punching down. Maths greater than pipe bomb. They did spend an inordinate amount of time punching down on AEW over WrestleMania weekend, which I was very surprised by.
Yeah. I don't know if I don't know if I'd consider it actively punching down in the same way as I would. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to defer because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Triple H needed to say that they've got bad work ethics because they don't. Say that? Well, he was talking about the free agents that they didn't get. And he was saying like, well, they don't want to do the touring and stuff because they don't really work hard enough.
I disagree. Also, I mean, this is me being a liberal, but I disagree with the necessity for a constant grind. I think there's definitely
it's a WWE mindset. It's what Seth said about Dean.
It's not even a WWE mindset exclusively. It's a wrestling mindset from years gone by.
Well,
So as a result, it's baked into WWE. Yeah. It's baked into the industry. So it is. This is why Punk with the whole idea of guaranteed contracts, which I don't agree with. I do agree with incentivization, but I don't agree with baked in. Like removing guaranteed income. It's been an interesting week for that. Yeah.
So I mean, from what Sean was saying on Fightful Select Fightful's post show for Raw, it was all those comments as why the footage is being shown. Like it really was a moment. It was like following on from the Ariel Helwani interview and Helwani's constant questions with like trying to get stuff out of Cody and then trying to get stuff out of Josh Barnett, and then WWE spending quite a bit of time punching down, not on TV, but certainly on on broadcasts and in their various media interviews and stuff. To be like, all right, well, fine. Like, we'll release this, and they've had it for a while, and they're going to do it this weekend or this week. Would I do it? Absolutely not. I don't think it's a good idea at all. Leonardo69 said, "Thanks for all the great content you provide during Mania this weekend. I very much have missed Mark Markuson from your Tuesday news videos. However, if Dan and Luke could see where he's been for the last few months and what he thinks of Julia coming to NXT."
He's unfortunately he's been MIA. He's been in the Japanese forests for months, hunting for stars.
Adam Dean said, "Hey guys, much love. Was rewatching a fantasy booking tournament, and Luke's NWO Nexus makes so much sense knowing Steinermath is his favorite promo. # Dan was screwed. Cody finished his story. Now Dan needs to win the Monday Night War to finish his."
Yeah. I mean, wait for next week's episode.
Next week, I mean, I would say go to patreon.com and watch it now. Next
we're calling
week's
it
episode.
Internally, we're calling it the Great Apple Crumble.
Also, can I take a little bit of umbrage? Sorry, I know we've gone way long on this show. I massively apologize.
Way long.
I'm going to take a little bit of umbrage with an Ultrachat that came in while I wasn't here. It was on I think it was on the Night One podcast. Someone said that Luke has missed the point of what a promo is supposed to do.
Oh, I remember that.
It's supposed to promote a match. And the pipe bomb, and that's why the pipe bomb is better than Math, because Math doesn't promote a match. We all forgot what the last line of the Math promo is.
No,
it tells you the name of the pay-per-view. The whole promo is about the two guys he's facing at that pay-per-view. The promo promotes a match.
So
literally does that.
About signing Math this week.
It does more to promote the match than the pipe bomb does for Money in the Bank. So I'm just going to take my umbrage there because I wasn't here to defend it. Anyway, Joe here says, "Hello, gents. Hope you're well after an amazing Mania weekend. I've loved the content so much. I've signed up to be a Patreon member."
Oh, thank you very much.
Smart guy. As much as I love all the WrestleTalk crew, I wanted to single out one person who has been fantastic for several months. Dan the truth later.
Uh-oh.
I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way, but you come across as a wrestling fan second and a lover of a great story and storyline first. And that comes across in your incredible analysis of wrestling. Your analysis that the main event story was about toxic masculinity made me go back and re-watch all the previous promos. You've been amazing every week on this pod in the lead up to Mania, and would love to see you do a deep dive series breaking down classic wrestling promos and storylines. I don't wish for you to leave WrestleTalk, but if you do, I hope it's for one place, the WWE creative team. You're a gem.
Thanks very much. I hate being complimented, but it means a lot. I think the thing for me is I love wrestling so much because it's about story and storyline. That's what I love in professional wrestling. I think it is the most unique storytelling medium in the world. I think it's incredible. The fact that it's so layered, the fact that it's about the match, but also about the story that brings to the match, but also about what those competitors have been doing over the course of the year, then over the course of their careers, the reality, the fiction. I just think it's the most... I love storytelling, and I always have. In film, TV, theatre, wrestling is just the most unique part of it. It's why I'm here.
BC Oren said, Luke, we all know that Dan the Pebble Layton, former Jam That champion, screwed you in that match with Ollie. Finish the promo.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not actually allowed to really talk about it anymore because I did lose, and this is a direct quote, fair and square. So I lost the war, and I lost it, and again, direct quote from Ollie Davis and those above me, fair and square.
Look, I did it.
Still won the tournament. Being Brandon said, Ollie, you may have won the battle, but you have not won the war. I'm seeing this as the Ollie Davis heel turn until Steiner Math rises again. Also, I thought Raw was great, except I was expecting a little more, maybe a big return or something. Still 5 out of 5 show. You got Sheamus. It's tease.
Yeah.
Manu Fell to the Earth said, really hyped for the new era. Feels like WWE is a babyface promotion again, and Cody is the perfect leader for that. Completely agree. In a business full of heated backstage beef, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say a bad word about him. He's the ultimate babyface.
That's it.
Yep, that's exactly it.
When you hear the you deserve it, it's not just necessarily to do with because he changed the wrestling industry. It's the humanitarian stuff he does. It's the wrestling club stuff. Like, it's just... I don't see how you can not like him.
Bobby here said, Oscar goes to Tesco's when he buys his best clothes.
No. I don't get it, but sure.
Steve here has been a member for 13 months in a row. Said, I'm so excited to see what's next in this new era. P.S. Dan, even without your belt, you're still a beautiful man. Love you guys. Love all you guys do. Thank you.
No one will ever wear it as well as me, but good for Sam.
Gabriel, remember what we said about the promos where you put over the other person, Dan?
Nope.
Gabriel said, hello guys. Can you see Roman coming back at SummerSlam, costing Rock the match and being a tweener? Free agents you want to see in WWE and why?
I absolutely considered Roman a candidate for a babyface run now. There's something about the appreciation from the fans and knowing that Rock could possibly beat the ever-living crap out of him for letting the family down. I really would be interested to see what they do with that.
We've got our video coming out predicting WrestleMania 41 way too far in advance. Ollie has a pitch for Roman Reigns that I thought was so much better than what me and Pete brought to the table.
Interesting.
I thought I put together some pretty good cases for matches, but Ollie's idea for Roman was so much better. And I'm now quite on board for it.
I look forward to it.
Lollipop Rocks said, guys, is it true that Becky and Seth are now transitioning into part-time? Wow, they've come a long way, huh? I don't know. I haven't seen that report. I know they're taking time off.
Yeah, I mean, Seth's at least 4 weeks is what I've read, but I mean, the guy deserves a break.
Sure does.
His back and knees must be hurt from carrying the company or whatever. The line is. Becky, I don't know about family stuff, but their daughter's at a pretty good age for settling down and getting into their new routine of going to school and stuff like that. Look, they've both done incredible stuff with their career, and if they want to go a bit more of a part-time schedule, I actually think it's a better use of them. I've always a champion for an off-season for certain wrestlers. Cycle them in and out, give people some time off if they want it, not only for healing their bodies, but for making the audience want to see them again after a while. So, yeah, I hope so.
No, yeah, I mean, as I said, I haven't seen any reports on them transitioning to part-time, but I know they are taking some time off just to heal up. I mean, Becky's been on an insane book tour. No wonder she was unwell going into WrestleMania, and Seth needs to rest up and recuperate as well. So,
Buy the book, it's a good book.
So, yeah, I'm all for them taking some time off. But that is it. Poll. John, this was actually lower than I thought it was going to be. 83% thumbs up.
Yeah.
I really thought that would be high, because I thought this was a really good episode of Raw. 14% thumbs in the middle.
But very few thumbs down.
Very few thumbs down, yeah. Oh, because it usually is.
Yeah.
That's why I don't even bother reading the thumbs down now. But if only because it's always such a small number, but also it means that the maths doesn't add up.
I'll tell you in a minute. Yeah, good.
Anyway, thank you all so much for watching this episode of the show. Massive apologies to our moderating team that this has gone long.
It's all right. I'm off next week. It'll be a quick show.
Yeah, Dan's not going to be here next week. It's going to be myself and Pete doing the show next week.
I'm going to go and sit down for a while.
Yeah, I think
And sleep until May.
And Dan has earned it. Much like Seth Rollins, Dan has earned a little break. So thank you so much for watching. We're going to be back on Thursday with that review of AEW Dynamite
Yikes.
and the footage. Well, you know, at least I know what the thumbnail is.
Yeah.
It's always nice knowing you're doing a review in 2 days' time and you already know I already know what the title and thumbnail is going to be.
Job done.
That's one of my jobs already ticked off on Thursday. So we'll have a full breakdown of that and possibly a breakdown over of what happens. So we'll find out what happens there. And then on next Monday, it will be the SmackDown and Collision review. I'll be hosting that with Tempest and then back as a review Monday Night Raw. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you then. I've been Lee Cohen, DAD. That has been Dan Layton. Jam that jam.